Good afternoon. Good morning. And thank you for joining hands in this to participate in this session. This session is organized under the topic Planting Seeds of Inclusion, 1 billion reasons for disability inclusive WASH. And here our organizers are SIWI, and we do have partners and conveners like UNICEF, World Bank, International Disability Alliance, African Disability Forum, HelpAge International, WaterAid, CBM Global Disability Inclusion, Water for Women, Austrian Aid, and also the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, SIDA. I would like to take this moment to thank all who cooperate in this. My name is Shitaya Stawas. I work for the African Disability Forum, which is a regional platform of African national umbrella organizations of persons with disabilities. I am the EDF director for advocacy and communication. I will lead you through this session as a moderator. Today's session objective and its purpose is for to showcasing resources and tools to achieve disability inclusive WASH. So we will have a little bit breakdown on the sessions, and I will take you to that. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, we will see. But one yeah. We will try or talk to an understanding the WASH needs of persons with disabilities, and we will also share here the showcasing resources and tools to achieve disability inclusive WASH, and also in line with the SDGs. And we will have sometimes for questions and answers on the shared resources and tools. And then after that, we will have a part on call to action, or we will deal with solutions on scaling up inclusive WASH, and by then we will wrap up the session. Next slide. As per the 2011 World Disability Report, an estimated 15% of the world population have a disability. But, you know, this is a report on, as I mentioned, 2011, and, you know, within the reality we live in, and the situations of frequent drought cases, war, conflict, both man-made and natural disasters, malnutrition, and the likes. This might even go well beyond this percentage. Sorry, I lost the presentation. Sorry. Could you please take me back to the PPT?
Okay, I will try to share my screen. Just continue, Shitaye.
And of this, again, 1 in 5 women is living or exposed to experiences of disability during their lives, and this could result again maybe from early marriage or labor intensive working engagement, abuse and harassment, and or accident. And again, around 46% of persons aged above like 60 years could have or lead life with disability. 1 in 10 children have a disability, but across globes in continents such as Africa, we might not have even well documented information and profile of school-aged children, and screening and diagnosis might not be at full range or scale. Next slide, please. Who are people with disabilities? Like, it's not what I am now sharing here is not actually a definition, but as per the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, persons with disabilities include those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments, which in interaction with various barriers hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis. While a person impairment could only tell us the functional limitation of a body part or body parts, or limited mobility or range of function, when we talk of disability, we meant that the person has institutional, environmental, or communication, or attitudinal challenges, barriers, and obstacles. So this could range, like when we said, for instance, institutional, it could be like, an inclusive policy of an institution, or missing in different directives or commitments. And when we talk of attitude, it could be being, facing challenges in recruitment, social participation, or the likes. In communication, we can talk of like unfriendly written formats or text formats, and also absence of sign language interpretation. So these are what creates disability, magnifying the barriers and discrimination. Then disability inclusion, the process of identifying and addressing barriers to access that create heightened risk for persons with disabilities. So when to really address those barriers mentioned as physical, environmental, institutional, or communication, we should address or eradicate or avoid those obstacles, and then create an inclusive and equal world for all. Saying this, I would like to call upon our first speaker for today's session to share the show cases and some of the tools. The pleasure is mine now to invite William Berban to share that with us. William, you will have 8 minutes, and the floor is yours now.
Thank you so much for this introduction, Chitaye. Hi, everyone. So let me present you, after having this brilliant introduction, so let me present you one of the resources, one of the tools that we have developed recently. So it's an e-course called Taking Action to Achieve Inclusive WASH. Next slide, please. So it's a, you will see, it's a 120 minutes e-course. It's for free. It has been developed by WaterAid, World Bank, and UNICEF. Okay, so it's called Taking Action to Achieve Inclusive WASH. The objective of this course that you have to take, honestly, is thanks to this course, you will be able to increase your knowledge and understanding of persons with disability, and understanding as well on disability inclusive WASH. You will as well understand the barriers that Chitaye was mentioning before, that persons with disabilities are facing to access WASH services and WASH products, not only the WASH facilities, but as well all the hygiene promotions messages, etc., etc. And you will be able to identify and address this barrier. And as well, you will learn how to design, implement, monitor, and evaluate a disability inclusive WASH program in development and humanitarian context. So who can take this course? So this course can be taken by anyone, okay? You don't have to be a WASH specialist or inclusion specialist to take it. Of course, we address this course primarily for the WASH sector, working in development and humanitarian context, but even anyone working in other sector can take it, of course. What else? So this course as well is interactive. You have 6 modules that we will see after, and you have a lot of exercise, interactions. So we try to make it as interactive as possible, and of course is accessible to everyone. Can we see the next slide, please? Let me just explain you what you can find in this course. So we have 6 main modules, okay, and the last one, the module 7, which is about reflecting and taking action, and the final quiz. Okay, so if you see the 6 modules, you can take it as you wish. Okay, it has a logic, of course, but if you want to do the 3 or the 5, whatever. So you see, if you look at the module quickly, we start with an introduction about disability inclusive WASH. What is the context? What is the legal and political framework? What is disability inclusive WASH? Who are the persons with disability? A big introduction and background about this content, about this sector, sorry. Then we talk about the meaningful participation of persons with disabilities, then how to identify and tackle the barriers that the people with disabilities face to access WASH services and products. Then you have the module 4, which is about the accessibility to WASH services and products. How can you make sure that your WASH services and products are accessible to everyone? Then the 5 is about the empowerment, capacity building, and partnerships. So how can we be sure that persons with disabilities are empowered? How can we be sure that we involve the organization of persons with disabilities throughout the project cycle? And the last module is about how to collect, monitor, and report the disability data. So we can go on the next slide, and I will zoom a little bit on one specific module, which is about the accessibility. And just to give you an example, no, and to give you a bit of taste of this course, to give you appetite to take it. So in this module 4, which is about the accessibility, we highlight the accessibility continuum. So, you know, when we talk about accessibility, we have to make sure that the WASH facilities and as well the WASH products, talking about the hygiene items, talking about the hygiene messaging as well, we have to make sure that it's accessible. So if we talk about the WASH facilities itself, let's take the example. So you can have maybe a latrine block, very well accessible with a ramp, with the perfect eye, etc. But are you sure that the people living their home can reach this facility? Are you sure that they can enter in this facility? Are you sure they can circulate in this facility? So there is this tip that I do like very much as a WASH professional. This is the REQ step, referring to the accessibility continuum. REQ stands for reaching, entering, circulating, and using. So this is what we have to make sure when we are designing WASH projects, that we apply this accessibility continuum. So this course talks about it and gives you some example. Let's go on the next slide, please. Okay, and you will find in this course, in this module, here you have some examples, some technical design, very well explained. You will find a lot of resources as well, a lot of resources where you can that you can use to develop and design your WASH program. You can see here you have sketch of accessible latrine in a school. So this you can find it in the course as well. So you see it's not an academic course, it's extremely practical, and we were thinking always about the people who are designing and implementing WASH program, what kind of knowledge do they need to make sure that the program are accessible. Let's go on the next slide, please, Sima. Oh, BC, sorry. And in the same module, and I will stop here, we have the accessibility and safety audits. So you will find some tools and resources to help you to make sure, to check, let's say, whether or not the WASH facilities are safe and accessible. Okay, so it's really a kind of checklist that anyone can use in the field with persons with disabilities, and will help you. Like it's a checklist, so that by checking different elements, you don't need to be an engineer. So by checking this, you will see if your latrine block, for example, or your water point is accessible and safe as well. But following what we have seen before, the accessibility continuum from the home till the facility itself. So this tool, which is presented in the course, will help you to identify the barriers and to address it, of course. Let's go on the next slide. I think it was the last one. So just as a conclusion, before giving the floor to Diana from Help Edge, just to tell you that, again, this course is 120 minutes only, is free, and it's about to be translated as well in French, Spanish, and Arabic. And we'll share the good news in the network. So I give the floor to Diana, because we're running after the time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. How exciting, right? I'm looking forward to joining you. So just to add on to that, I have the privilege of presenting some results of a research where we've been looking at older people with incontinence. And we're going to look at some work in 11 humanitarian contexts to test some training materials and other tools. Next slide, please. So what we want to do is to understand older people's current coping mechanisms with living with incontinence, and to understand the prevalence of incontinence, because I would say in most of the WASH work we're doing, it's not necessarily it's seen as a systematic way of collecting data. It's often thought of as an add-on. And we found that an awful lot of the word for incontinence in many countries we work in as humanitarian actors doesn't exist. So we've got a lot of issues to do to address, to try and bring and raise the issue of incontinence in people of all ages, with and without disabilities, into the WASH sector. Next slide, please. So, next slide, please. We'll move on. So we've got some work based on previous work from Oxfam, University of Leeds, University of Australia, some amazing work, which has looked at lots of issues of difficulties for people with challenging needs, WASH needs, but we're focusing now on the incontinence aspect, especially with WASH health and protection actors. So now we've got some new materials out for us to share. Next slide, please. And we're going to showcase some of this on this session now. So what we will have ready to go, being tested in countries, 11 countries now, is a humanitarian practitioners training. It's a one-day face-to-face course or online, like the Williams one. It's free and it's accessible to all. Obviously, we're targeting WASH practitioners. We will, because it's a challenge to make sure people collect the data on WASH incontinence, we want to design some Washington's group style questions. So we want to raise using the existing data tools such as the Washington group questions to embed the messaging around incontinence. And at the same time, in Malawi now, with a project from Manepo, who are our partners in this research with Oxfam, we're developing a home-based care program led by older people with incontinence and interested people and their caregivers. And then not only that, because it's a very wide component, we're going to produce a product list of examples of what people see as useful for their appropriate incontinence support and other assistive technologies. And that's obviously in line with a lot of work that's going on with WHO GATE program with their TAP training, as well as ongoing work within the WASH incontinence group. So not quite a lot to think about, and we should be able to get that out more for people to use as we go through the research this year. Next slide, please. So that's the basic outline of the incontinence training. That's what it's going to look like, and you can see that soon online. Next slide, please. And just to run through quickly the topics. As I say, one day in person, online. It's got four sessions. Not too much, yeah, but enough to hopefully raise a few pointers that incontinence matters in WASH programming. Session 1, introduction to incontinence. Session 2, understanding needs, how we can best understand the needs of people living with incontinence, focusing on older people, but obviously relevant to others. And session 3, most important, how WASH sector can support people who experience incontinence, and especially not forgetting their caregivers, where we found so many concerns. And lastly, understanding the impact of stigmatization of WASH programming, incontinence in WASH programming, which basically is the reason why I would say a lot of our humanitarian actors do not address it. Okay, so that's what we've got on offer. We'll keep you in touch with how we go on. It's very exciting. And I think on that point, I'll hold and pass over to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you, William, particularly for being time sensitive and for sharing the resources and tools in this. I thank you very much. You make my life easier here. Now we will move to the question and answer. So far, I see one question, and this is about like how to consider the people in the low-income countries, and also to ensure a space and priority in implementation. And if I understand it correctly. Anyone who likes to address this, maybe William or Diana, do you like to intervene here?
Yes, I can say a few words. No, thanks for the question.
You go ahead, please.
Okay, I can say a few words just quickly because it depends on. So talking about the accessibility has not been considered in low-income countries. It depends on the low-income countries. Because in some of these countries, many efforts have been done in terms of accessibility and inclusion. If you compare the situation with, I would say, 10, 15 years ago, a lot of things have been done. You can find in almost all the countries, you can find organization of persons with disabilities. Since early 2000, we have the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disabilities. And since that time, a lot of resources have been developed. And I know that some government in some low-income country has taken some strong step to have the accessibility and inclusion of persons with disabilities within their program. So I know that a lot of effort has to be done, especially in humanitarian context, where situation is much more complex. But let's be optimistic and positive, I would say. But a lot of efforts have been done, and I'm sure that it will be continuing.
Thank you, William. If I add some few pointers, as WASH is very much critical to persons with disabilities, it is about also keeping the momentum for these kinds of resources and tools. And it's also for fostering collaboration toward this inclusive WASH and in general also inclusive services. It's also about like sharing experiences from other countries, even from developed countries. It's an issue, but we have to really work on data and identification of gaps in making WASH facilities and water accessible to persons with disabilities. Saying this, I don't see any other question. So at this point, I would like to pass the floor to Yogita from Water Global Program World Bank for your kind key message and wrap up. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shataya, and thank you, William and Diana, and all those who organized this very important session. And there was a lot to cover in a very short amount of time. And there's a lot more out there. So please do reach colleagues online. Please do avail yourselves to the materials that are provided through this session. I learned a lot in this session. It was packed, but an area that I could learn more on, and I'm glad to see these courses that were presented and other tools. What was also very clear was that disabilities is a very heterogeneous group, and this requires really a lot of thinking and consultation up front when we're preparing our projects and programs, and understanding what's best, ultimately how to design, but then also how to implement. And in the World Bank, we do take this very seriously and have teams, some of whom are on the call, who work with our clients closely to bring in these key issues early in design and hear the voices of all to ensure that ultimately what is prepared can deliver on the very ambitious goals we have for SDG 6 and universal access for WASH. And we won't ever make these goals if we don't consider this broader form of inclusion. And having said that, not only in WASH, but also more broadly on all aspects of water, on irrigation, WRM, water resource management, all of this very important to consider the needs of and the needs in order to serve all our citizens, including those with disabilities. So with that, I really hope you have taken away some of the tools and challenges related to serving all of our peoples with WASH. And I'd like to highlight the importance in this of partnerships. I'll just name a few, in particular, CIWI for organizing the session, UNICEF, the International Disability Alliance, CEDA, Help Age, the African Disability Forum, Global Disability Inclusion, Water for Women, and Australian Aid. There are many more that I couldn't mention here. So there's a lot of work to do. It's great to see that we have moved forward quite a bit since 2018, when there was the first session convened on disability at the World Water Week, but there's a lot more to do. So with your dedication and interest, we look forward to trying to meet this challenge. Thank you so much. The recording and links will be available online in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Yogita, for the very nice wrap up and for the key message. Here I thank all involved here. So saying this, we are about to close the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.